Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live here on 12 Ounce Sports and, of course, Dingo TV, channel 217, live on X on 12ouncesports.com, all of our social media platforms. Great to be with you. I'm going to be a little preoccupied tonight. Fair warning. I'm sure you guys all know it's game 4 tonight in downtown Detroit. The Tigers got the bases loaded in the bottom of the second inning. Only were able to get one run off of Ivy. They got a sacrifice fly from Troy Sweeney. 1-1. The Cleveland Indians, or the Guardians, rather, they got a couple of guys on. First two guys up got base hits. They were able to scratch out a run. A great way to play small ball for the Cleveland Guardians in the top of the first. Runners on first and second. What a novel idea. Have your guy on second, steal third. Proved to be just what they needed because they got a base hit over into right field to score that run. So it's 1-1. Going into the third inning, we'll keep you updated throughout the night here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. A lot to talk about here tonight. Major League Baseball is going to be the topic at the bottom of the hour. Great friend of the show, Brent Radlinsky of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Our Yankee guy, they're going for a chance to play in the ALCS next week. They're up 2-1 are the Yankees. They're taking on the Royals. First pitch in about an hour, a little over an hour there in Kansas City. The Yankees will be going for their third win in 4 tries. We've got one participant in the National League Championship Series set. That's going to be the New York Mets, Francisco Lindor. I got to tell you, all the talk about Shohei Ohtani as the MVP in the National League. Yeah, I guess so. But boy, Lindor, he came on strong in the second half of the year. And then last night, a grand slam. The Phillies were up 1-0. They win 4-1. The Mets advance. The Phillies, is their window closing? We'll talk to Brent about that coming up in the second half hour of the show. And also the Dodgers and the Padres. All the drama. Game 5 tomorrow night in that series. So that one's all knotted up at 2. The Dodgers, faced with elimination, blanked the Padres 8-0 last night in Game 4 in San Diego. They've got Game 5 coming up tomorrow. That is going to be one heck of a matchup. Can't wait to bring that one, or can't wait to see that one, what the results are going to be on that as well. Hey, we still got a lot to talk about as well besides baseball. NFL Week 6 is coming up in the books, or it's coming up rather this weekend, starting tonight, as a matter of fact, with Seattle and San Francisco doing battle. Seattle coming off a tough loss to the New York Giants at home. Can't believe that one. That was a surprise there. The Giants showing a little bit of moxie, if you will. And the 49ers, they lost kind of a weird way to lose against the Arizona Cardinals. I'm telling you, this NFL season is absolutely bananas. And San Francisco now 2-3. I know they're injury riddled, but they're in trouble. And Arizona as well at 2-3. So that's going to be a matchup, a great matchup to keep an eye on as well. And of course, the New York Jets. What can you say about the New York Jets? They fired Robert Saleh on Tuesday morning. And so now he's going to be replaced on an interim basis. The next question is, who's going to want to go to that New York Jets franchise as long as they've got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback? Because, yeah, I know he says he had nothing to do with it. He knew nothing about it. He was blindsided. What do you expect him to say on Pat McAfee yesterday? He's not going to say, yeah, I didn't like him. I wanted him out. Only Magic Johnson gets away with that, or maybe LeBron James. But is he a coach killer? Who knows? But, his guy, though, Nathaniel Hackett, he got demoted. He's not going to be the play caller. The Jets are a mess. It's theater, though. It's the New York Jets, one of the most overrated and overpublicized franchises in all of pro sports. It's only because they're New York. If they were anywhere else, no one would care. So it's the Jets. Robert Saleh, the first casualty in the NFL. Hey, what about college football last weekend? Alabama goes down to the doors. That's right, the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Hey, they're for real. They're playing some good football. This is the second big upset for them this year. First time they've beaten them, and I can't remember how long, but the Commodores beat Alabama. How about Tennessee losing to Arkansas? The Hogs do it to the Volunteers. USC goes to Minnesota and gets beat. They can't win on the road. Are they a sham? Let's see who else. They were just Michigan goes to Washington. Michigan's in trouble. No getting around it. And I put it in my story that you can read on 12ouncesports.com on my Big Ten report that I do every Monday. Michigan and Michigan State are playing on October 26th, which is 2 weeks from Saturday. That game right there is going to be for bowl eligibility. And I'll tell you why. Michigan's got Illinois and Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon on their schedule. Michigan's got 4 wins right now. I think they're not going to be favored in any of those 4 games. They've got Northwestern at home. They'll win that one, so that's 5. Just to be safe, it's going to come down to that MSU game. Michigan State's at 3-3. Both teams, ironically, are off this weekend. Michigan State's got Indiana. They've got Illinois. They, those aren't cupcake games either. So they've got Iowa coming up. That's a winnable game. That gets them to 4. They've got Rutgers, and Rutgers is no pushover either. So I'm telling you, that game on October 26th between Michigan and Michigan State, that's going to be for bowl eligibility. And if you're Michigan, it's hard to believe coming off a national championship. Now they're in this situation. No quarterback. They brought Jack Tuttle in. Looked good for about a half, but that's been the MO for Michigan. They can't seem to do anything right in the second half. No adjustments. They look like they're out of gas by the fourth quarter. They look so bewildered. Sharon Moore looks like he's so over his head. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So a lot to talk about. Big games coming up in college football this weekend. Ohio State out to Oregon. That's going to be a monster matchup. Number 2 against number 3. Ohio State's going to be a 3-point favorite on the road. Hard to believe that. Then you've got Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry. That's going to be a monster matchup as well. Texas, the number 1 team in the land. Oklahoma at number 18. Big matchups there. LSU and Ole Miss. Hey, playoff implications there. Both teams with 1 loss. Ole Miss at number 9. LSU at number 13. So keep an eye on that one as well. And Penn State, they're number 4. They're going out to USC. Now, Penn State hasn't won a big game, and I don't know for how long, against a highly ranked team. They're going cross country to take on USC. USC needs this win in a bad way. They're not going to go to the national tournament. They're not going to go to the playoff tournament. I don't see that happening. But they need this win. The Big Ten's wide open right now besides Ohio State and Oregon. So is there going to be a third team that gets a national tournament bid? Maybe Penn State, but they got to win this. They got to win this game out in LA on Saturday. So those are big matchups as well. And don't forget, we've got the Captain Lou 6-pack challenge coming up a little bit later on as well. We're going to do all those picks in the first half hour because we're going to talk baseball with Radlinsky at the bottom of the hour. So you're going to get your fix of all the football matchups here in this first half hour. I was 5-1 last week. 5-1. First winning week this year. So my record is now 15, 20, and 1 in 6 weeks. I admit my September was putrid, absolutely pathetic. I can't believe that it was as bad as it was. But I was 5-1. So I told you, your best chance was to get in against me in September because that's usually when I'm really, really sluggish. So I got some big matchups coming up this week, some interesting games, both on the college and the pro side. How it works, I pick 3 games against the spread college, 3 games against the spread pro. You pick those games better than me, you're in the drawing for a $100 Visa gift card coming up at the end of the year. That's going to be the Wednesday after the national championship game. So keep that in mind. How you can enter, drop me an email, sweetlou1965@yahoo.com. Follow me on X. That is at The Real Captain Lou. Or follow me on the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page. It's that simple. Or again, follow me on my personal Facebook, Louis Gamlin. It's that easy. So be a part of the Captain Lou 6-pack challenge. It's a lot of fun. No purchase necessary either. Just enter. You can enter as many weeks as you want. The more you enter, obviously, the better chance that you have in maybe cashing in on that prize at the end of the year. All right, let's get a quick update on the Tigers before we go to break. And let's see. Bottom of the third, 1 out. 2 outs, nobody on for the Tigers. 1-1 tie. Of course, the Tigers looking to advance in the American League Championship Series. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the NFL, take a look back at Week 6, tell you about our big games coming up this week, or Week 5, rather. the Week 6 big games, and of course, a whole lot more. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza. It's live right here on 12 Ounce Sports and Dingo TV, channel 217.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Hey, Met fans, if you want to go to the ALCS, you don't know, or the NLCS rather, you're not sure yet where it's going to be. All I know is you're going to be on the road. If you're traveling out west, you need to go to 12ouncesports.com/tickets. We've got tickets to the American League or the National League Championship Series, and we'll have them for the American League Championship Series as soon as we find out who's in it. It's either the Tigers or the Guardians or the Yanks and the Royals. Both are in Game 4 tonight. The Tigers and the Yankees looking for a chance to clinch, to go up against each other in another round of the playoffs. But the Guardians, they have a lot yet to say on it, as it's 1-1 in the bottom of the third inning there. Yankees and Royals about to get underway at the top of the hour. Brent Radlinsky from the 1420 Sports Bar podcast will be here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk all things baseball there, as well as maybe we got a couple of minutes left. We'll pick his brain on what's going on in the NFL. All right. Hey, let's get right in it. Speaking of the NFL. But before we do that, you want to go to a game in Week 6 of the NFL, again, go to 12ouncesports.com/tickets, or some of these monster college football matchups, Ohio State, Oregon, LSU, Ole Miss, USC, Penn State, whatever. Go to 12ouncesports.com/tickets. 1-1 at the end of the third. They go into the fourth at Comerica Park, all knotted up. Tigers lead that 2-1. We talked about Robert Saleh. He's out in New York after that game against Minnesota. Ugly, ugly game. You know, here's the thing. His defense wasn't really his issue. The offense, obviously he's the head man and a change has got to be made. I get it. Why they do it in the middle of this season, I don't know. But here's the deal. They beat Buffalo on Monday night. They're in first place. It's crazy. And if Zerline makes that field goal the other week against Denver, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And the Jets would still have Robert Saleh as their coach. They'd be in first place right now. It's crazy how one bounce, one bad play could send a coach to the unemployment line. That's the case of what happened here. I know it's been in the making. He's had a losing record. He's a great D coordinator, but obviously he couldn't do it as a head coach. Now who do they get? I hear all these names. I hear all Belichick loves Aaron Rodgers, loves his moxie, blah, blah, blah. You know, who's going to want to go to that mess? That's all I ask. Who's going to want to go to that mess? Certainly not. Maybe Mike Vrabel. He's a tough guy, but could him and Aaron Rodgers coexist? Could Aaron Rodgers be man enough to be told what to do by that guy? That'd be interesting to see. We'll keep an eye out for that. All right, quickly, AFCs, we'll stick with that. The Texans outlasted Buffalo with a 59-yard field goal by Fairbairn at the end of the game. Texans are for real, man. I'm telling you what. And the Dolphins against the Patriots, the battle of mistakes. One of the sloppiest games you're going to see. The Dolphins, with all their misery, they win that one 15-10. Drake May, by the way, is going to get his first start for the Patriots coming up this weekend. In the AFC North, the Steelers, you talk about giving up last-minute points. They gave it up to the Cowboys. Cowboys with a last-minute drive as Dak Prescott engineered that. They win one on the road against the Steelers. And how about the Ravens and the Bengals? What a great game that was. The Ravens, after that sluggish start, look out. Here they come. You know, Lamar Jackson looking great. They've got some weapons on offense. They're a team that's going to be reckoned with. Watch out for them, Kansas City. In the West, speaking of Kansas City, undefeated. They found a way to win again. Great teams do that. They're probably one of the most, I don't want to say unorthodox teams, but it's almost like they toyed with them the other night, the Saints the other night. 5-0, big win for them. They're rolling as well. And the Broncos, who would have thought? I got to give credit where credit is due. Sean Payton, not one of my favorite coaches. I just think, I don't know. But he's got Bo Nix and those Denver Broncos rolling. That Denver defense, very underrated. They took care of a hapless Raiders team, another team in a mess. Aiden O'Connell's going to get the start now for the Raiders. Who knows? We talked about the Texans. The Jags get their first win over the Colts. They needed that. You talk about a coach that needed that. They needed that win. I'm telling you, or else they would have been another casualty on the coaching front for sure. And they win with a big victory over the Colts. So there you go. All right. 1-1, one out at the bottom of the fourth inning, or 2 outs in the top of the fourth, rather. Tigers and Guardians are tied. In the NFC, the Vikings, they stayed undefeated. We talked about it with a win over the Jets. Kevin Stefanski, I beg your pardon, O'Connell's got them rolling at 5-0 right now. The Vikings look unstoppable. They're going to be tough to beat. Can't wait for them to take on the Lions coming up here shortly in a few weeks. That's going to be one monster matchup there. Speaking of that, the Bears, the monsters of the Midway, look out. They're 3-2. They took care of the Carolina Panthers and then some, 34-13 the other night. So they're at 3-2. Every team right now in the AFC North or NFC North is above 500. The Packers, they go to LA to take on the Rams. It was like a Packers home game out there. They beat the Rams. They're 3-2. The Rams now at 1-4, not looking good. The Lions had the week off. They're at 3-1 still. So all of a sudden, the NFC North looking like one of the best conferences or divisions in all of football. In the NFC East, we talked about the Cowboys with a big road win. The Commanders, they stay in first place. You talk about a team that's a team that's fun to watch. How about the Commanders? 4-1. Jaden Daniels, if he's not the offensive rookie of the year, I don't know who is. He's looking really strong for the Commanders. They've got a big matchup coming up this week against the Ravens, though. That's going to be a test for the Commanders to see how they stand in the world of professional football. Going to the bottom of the fourth, still a 1-1 tie, Tigers and Guardians. The Giants, who saw this one coming? This is the one that I got wrong on my Captain Lou six-pack challenge. I went into that thinking I'm going to go 6-0, baby. But no. The Seattle Seahawks couldn't handle the New York Football Giants. An interesting fact, though, about the NFL this year, one of many. Each team that's played the Lions this year have lost the following week. So keep that in mind as Detroit plays the Cowboys coming up Sunday. NFC West, Seattle drops a home game to the Giants. We just talked about it. That's a head scratcher. Still can't believe that one. Still trying to figure that one out. As the Rams do the same thing against the Packers. And what about the 49ers and the Cardinals? Kyler Murray, he looked so out of his game against the Lions. He looked flustered. He was forcing things. He didn't look that way against the 49ers. They beat the San Francisco 49ers. That is such a huge, huge win for the Cardinals. And they look good doing it. So congratulations to them. Finally, in the NFC South, the Falcons get a big division win over the Buccaneers in overtime. Again, those are huge. They're 3-2 along with the Buccaneers. That helps the Lions, of course. I know the playoffs are way down the road, but it's still the Falcons with a big win there, a big division win. And we talked about the Saints couldn't solve the Chiefs. They've got quarterback issues. Looks like Spencer Rattler is going to get the start this coming weekend for the Saints as Derek Carr is out with an oblique injury. That's going to be telling. And the Panthers, we already talked about that as well. They got hammered by the Chicago Bears. And again, they're back to their hapless ways as well. All right, let's take a look at the Captain Lou Extravagant 6. We do this each week here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Number 1, I'm going Minnesota over Kansas City. Kansas City's 5-0. So is Minnesota. Minnesota just looks impressive. Their defense, to me, looks impressive, as does Kansas City. But the offense, I give the edge to Minnesota. They just look like they're clicking better. Maybe Kansas City, maybe because they've got all those injuries, but they're both 5-0. I get it. You could toss a coin on this one, but I'm going with the Vikings as my number one team and my number one extravagant team. And then you've got Minnesota at number 2, or I'm sorry, Kansas City at number 2. At number 3, I'm going with the Commanders. I thought about maybe going with the Lions at number 3, but the Commanders are looking impressive, and they're fun, just like the Lions. Reminds me so much of Detroit from last year, making that run. So it's going to be exciting. I've never been a Washington fan because they just had a stranglehold over Detroit. I mean, Detroit went like 60-some years before they won in Washington, and I think they went 50 before they even beat them. But how can you not like this Washington Commanders team? So much fun to watch. And they've got some weapons. Daniels is playing good. Their defense, just like Denver's, is underrated. So that's what I like about the Commanders. I got Detroit number 4. They looked impressive in that win over Seattle. They're getting a little bit healthier. They've got a huge matchup in Dallas, kind of a revenge game after what happened last year at the end of that game against the Cowboys that more than likely could have cost Detroit the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs last year. They go to Dallas 4:25 on Sunday. I know I'll be glued to the TV for that. Number 5, I've got Houston. They're looking good. So they're again with that big win, that last second win, I've got them at number 5. And Baltimore, they're 3-2. I almost put them ahead of the Houston Texans, but because they're 3-2, I'm going to keep them at number 6. I got to tell you, Baltimore's coming. The Ravens are coming, and they stubbed their toe a little bit, lost that game by a toenail against Kansas City. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here. So all right, here we go with the Lions and the Houston and Baltimore at 6. Big games this weekend in the NFL. We talked about a couple of big games. Ravens and the Commanders. We talked about it. Ravens a 7-point favorite against the Commanders. Kind of like that. The Lions and the Cowboys. We talked about that. These two teams always put on a show when they play together. And the Cowboys a little bit banged up at 4-1. Or I'm sorry, at 3-2. But Detroit's going in there with a 3-1 record. This is a big game for the Lions. They got to try to, a big road game. They've got a tough schedule coming up. The Lions still do. They've got the Vikings coming up. They got the Packers. I'm telling you, there's some huge, huge matchups. So the Lions really need this one. So, yeah, it's big matchups there. All right, we talked about it. Big games in college football. Number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Oregon. We talked about it. Oregon's a 3-point dog there. That's going to be a fun matchup Saturday night on NBC. Can't wait to see that. Ole Miss and LSU. That's going to be another huge game coming up there. Ole Miss, both teams with a loss. We talked about it at the top of the broadcast. Both teams need to, if they want to stay in the college football playoff talk, even if they lose, they might still be able to sneak in, but it's got to be an impressive win. Or it's got to be a close loss, if they want to sneak in and stay in that playoff race. Then we've got the Red River rivalry, Texas and Oklahoma. This one's going to be in Dallas. Number 1, Texas. Number 18, Oklahoma. It's at the Cotton Bowl. This ought to be a dandy as well. Arch Manning playing well for Texas. Oklahoma, they're doing well to stay where they're at, but they've got a big matchup coming up with Texas. And then Penn State and USC. That one, again, USC needs that one in a worst way. Penn State, they also need it too. They've got to prove that they can win a big game on the road or a big game against anybody. They can't beat you. They can't beat Michigan, and they can never beat Ohio State. They don't have Michigan on their schedule this year, which for them is probably a bummer this year because Michigan is not what they used to be. That's for sure. So, and we talked about the upsets. We talked about Michigan being in trouble. Crazy, as they're down to what I don't even know what quarterback they're at. They might as well bring Daniels in. I was talking to my son about that last night. What do they got to lose? Who's their quarterback going to be when they come off the bye? I'm telling you, they're in trouble. We talked about the significance of that game against Michigan State coming up in 2 weeks. Michigan's got to go to Illinois and take on the Illini, who are having one hell of a season. So that's at the beginning of the year, you thought that was a cakewalk win, but Brent Bielema's got his Illini playing really, really solid as they're, I think they're 4-1. They're ranked. So it's crazy. Bottom of the fourth, 1 out. Detroit's got a runner on first. We'll keep an eye on that one as well as the Tigers trying to get that go-ahead run, try to get into the American League Championship Series. Well, that's the end of the fourth. Torkelson was up, just grounded into a double play, so that eliminated another base runner for the Tigers. So they're going to the fifth, all tied up at 1. All right, we've got like 4 minutes left. Let's go through our Captain Lou six-pack challenge picks right now. Very simple. All you can enter. It's easy to do, and there's no purchase necessary. Drop me a line, sweetlou1965@yahoo.com, or follow me on X. It'll be posted there as well. You can leave your picks there. DM me, put them in the comment section, however you want to do it. Follow me on Facebook, the Captain Lou Extravaganza. It's that simple. You can enter the Captain Lou six-pack challenge that way. First matchup in College, Oregon. I'm taking the Ducks at home. I'm taking the points +3. It's going to be a tight game right down to the wire. The better bet on that one is probably the over. That's going to be I think that's going to be a track meet. LSU and Ole Miss. LSU is getting 3.5 points at home in Death Valley against Ole Miss. Give me the Tigers +3.5. USC hosting Penn State. I'm not a USC guy, but I'm not really a James Franklin guy. Give me the home team in this one. USC +4. On the pro side, Cincinnati at the Giants. You talk about a team that's desperate. It's the Bengals. I know the Giants are coming off a big win. I don't know how well they can handle prosperity. Give me the Bengals laying the 3.5. Washington at Baltimore, the Commanders and the Ravens. We talked about it. Baltimore, a 7-point favorite at home against the Commandos. Give me Washington in the points. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Baltimore will win, but I'm taking the points. And finally, the Buccaneers +3.5 at New Orleans. I don't know why. New Orleans is starting Spencer Rattler. Maybe that's it. The Buccaneers felt like they got hosed last week against Atlanta. This is a big matchup for them. All right, I'm going to put the picks right there on the screen one more time. As I mentioned, 5-1 last week. So my record now is a stellar 15-20-1, but it was 10-19-1. So I'm making a comeback, just like the Tigers, the comeback kid. That's me. We come into October. Maybe we can turn this boat around and get that going here. So, all right, we're going to take 60 seconds. When we come back, we're going to have our special guest, great friend of the show. Always great to catch up with Brent Radlinsky of the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Right after this, you're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza on Dingo TV channel 217 and 12 Ounce Sports and on 12 Ounce Sports on YouTube.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right. At 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
That's right. If you want tickets, if you're a Mets fan, you're traveling out west for the NLCS, go to 12ouncesports.com/tickets if you haven't gotten your tickets already. And we got to wait and see where the ALCS is going to be. Hopefully it's in New York City, or it could be against Kansas City. But let's bring in our next guest, Brent Radlinsky from the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. He hopes that you have to get tickets for the Bronx for game 1 of the ALCS. But first, they got to get through game 4 tonight. Brent, thanks for taking time out tonight. I'm not going to keep you past 8 o'clock so you can get your popcorn ready. How are you?
Lou, I'm doing good. I was listening to your show a little bit. We're getting ready on my end here. I always knew you were a smart guy, but then you take USC to win that game. I know for sure that you're a smart guy now over Penn State on the weekend. And a few weeks back, Michigan Wolverines escaped a tight one there. USC probably should have won that game, but one bad tackle, and the rest is history for the Wolverines to escape that one. But no, it was a great football game a few weeks ago. Good to see you again, Lou, and your Tigers are doing some damage. They got a chance.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that game last night was a nail biter. You know, it was fun to watch the end of that. I was at a local watering hole. I do a high school coaches show at a sponsor's pub in the high school game, the city that I do it at in Freeland, and it was jammed. I thought maybe it was because I was there, but after the third out, after the strikeout, half of them left, but they said, "Oh, we'll stick around and watch you, Lou." But yeah, what a run for the Tigers. Last time you and I talked, I never would have thought they would have got this far.
Well, I remember back in maybe in July or early August, I put something on the old Twitter machine that or X, whatever you want to call it, who cares? But is your team got a chance to win the World Series? And you said no, they're done, but they just fell behind here a little bit. That's not a big deal. But the Tigers have been one of the best stories in all of not just baseball, professional sports. The way they came out of nowhere, and a team that has quote unquote nothing to lose is very dangerous. Bunch of young guys don't really know any better, but it's been a fun run for the Tigers. And like we said a few weeks ago when I was on your show, the roar of 24, it's alive. You never know what could happen.
I love that. Exactly. And it just mentioned the Guardians went up 2-1. So we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, if they don't win, they get Tariq Skubal on Saturday back in Cleveland, and for the winner take all set to go to the ALCS. That's that's going to be one hell of a matchup too if the Tigers don't come back. But we still got a long ways to go. Brent, your Yankees, they great home run by Stanton last night. I was listening to it on the radio. That was an exciting game to listen to. You had to be glued to the edge of your seat for that one.
It hasn't been because it's only been 3 games for the Yankees. Started last Saturday, then this Sunday off, game Monday, Tuesday off, Wednesday. So it's kind of been a slow crawl into the playoff. Yeah. But I rarely sit down when the big games are on. You might be the same way. You're up and your fingers are in your mouth, chewing your nails apart, and you don't really have much faith in this Yankee team. And I am that Yankee guy. He had the best record in the American League and whatever, but they just don't seem to have that factor. And like eventually you start to think that maybe Judge isn't the guy, because you can win X amount of American League champ or MVPs, but he hasn't done the playoffs. And then striking out in the first game 1, struck out with 2 guys on. Game 2, the same thing. He just doesn't get it going. Yeah, he got and I could care less how hard a guy's exit velocity is off his bat in the first inning, 117 miles an hour or whatever it was. Yeah. Went right to Whit Jr. made a very good play, but until Judge can get it going a little bit and get the proverbial monkey off his back, I just don't know how good this Yankee team is. And as much as every Yankee fan disparages Giancarlo Stanton throughout the regular season, he always seems to come up when for the Yankees in the playoffs. And he did it again last night, late in the game on it, and actually stolen base somehow too with those rickety old pins on the attached to his torso. It's going to be interesting to see how they can do it. The way that the schedule has been set up for the Yankees, with Cole being able to go again tonight with the extra off day, that's a blessing in disguise for the Yankees, because I don't have much faith in Carlos Rodon. His brain is softer than baby crap between his ears. It's not good. I think of the Yankees, I think they really, really have to find a way to win tonight. Yeah, they do have the X factor in their back pocket, going back to Bronx, hostile environment, everything else. It's tough to win at Yankee Stadium. But the Yankees, I think it'd be in their best interest to wrap it up tonight, because you go to a game 5, a deciding game, anything can happen.
Boy, Rodon, I don't understand that. You're right. It's like he's mush, and they're paying him all that money. But you could say that about the Dodgers too. Both the teams, and I like the fact that you got Garrett Cole going tonight. I think he's going to give you guys at least 6 or 7 solid innings, and I'll tell you what was impressive to me, Brent, is Weaver coming out of the pen as a closer. He's looking solid.
A guy that was on 5 or 6 different squads last year and comes out of nowhere and seems really flippant when his post-game interviews. He's just in a spot pitching away and just gets it done. Doesn't seem to be overly amped up. He's very calm, cool, and collected. I don't want to go as far as saying he's as calm as Mariano was back in the glory days, but he's very calm, and he just had like a 6-out save last night from a kid that was wasn't the closer 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden he's the guy coming out of the bullpen. He seems he's that calming influence coming out of the bullpen. You like you said, if they can get in like 6 outs last night's a lot. Can they get a few outs out of him tonight? Because now at this point, and you're probably the same way as I am. The way they dance relievers in and out of the bullpen, I'd say, it drives me nuts because human beings they tend to screw things up, and the more human beings you put the object in question into play, one of them's bound to screw up. And I hope that Cole can give some length tonight, and they can find a way to maybe use only 1 or 2 guys, because you keep going these bullpens. These bullpen games, the Dodgers had one last night, but I would rather see a guy get some length. And these are the games that you pay a guy like Cole the $35 million a year. These are the games you gave CC Sabathia back in 2009 when they won the last time they won the World Series. This is the kind of game that we're paying you all the money for the regular season, but this is the one we're actually paying you for. And I think Cole's going to have an outing tonight, because he wasn't great in game 1 by any means. He was getting hit around a lot. So I expect Cole to come out and have a good. I would really like to see Cole come out with a really good game tonight, because the Yankees really need it to shut this one down and move on to the ALCS.
You know, you brought up a great point. I was just going to ask you the question. These bullpen games, I understand in the regular season when you've got a stretch of 12 games in 14 days. I still haven't come to grasp the reality of it in playoff baseball. You know, Goner, that I just can't understand why you don't have 3 starters that you can rely on to go at least 5 innings. And you got a guy like Detroit. The guy they had last night started 1 inning. I mean, granted they won. They're doing it like the Dodgers shut out the Padres last night, but I'm with you. I guess I'm just old-fashioned. I just don't understand how they can rely on that.
I don't like it at all, because if I owned a team, and podcast money, probably I can't buy one next week anytime soon, but it's if I owned a team and I'm giving a guy 35, 36, 40 million bucks, and he can only go X amount of innings a year, I'd be like, no way. So because if I can pay a guy $8 million a year, why wouldn't I do that? I don't understand it. And then saving a guy for next year, like Baltimore, like all these teams who make the playoffs, because we talked about it like when I did the Yankee show with you a few weeks back. I don't understand. You're spending all this money, and they can only go 3 or 4, and they got an innings limit. I could care less. I don't care what your elbow's like at the end of this season or end of this game. I want a guy to go out there and pitch, because that's what I'm paying you to do. I'm paying you to win championships. I'm paying you to win games. I don't care about next year, because so much can go wrong when I'm in the playoffs, because making the playoffs is tough. It's tough, and getting through a round and another round. I'm not saving you for June of next year. I don't care right now. I want to win now. Because how much could go wrong between this time this year and this time next year? It has to get done now. And I don't know if I'd be an owner would go down to the clubhouse and say, you know what, this is how it's going to work. Because I want to win, because you don't know when you're going to get back there. Like how many times the Tigers to get back, and Baltimore's been there twice now for a total of 4 games, and they're not any closer right now, realistically. Then they got 2 more games this year than the 122 loss Chicago White Sox. So really, what did they do? And saving your pitchers, I don't get it. Go out there and use a guy. Yeah, you might need a guy in the next round. Tigers just did it there for you, Lou. There you go. But use your pitchers and get it done, because you don't know when you're going to get back there. And I don't understand it. It's hard to win game 7 when you're not in it.
Exactly. You know what? And who used to drive me crazy with that back before this was in vogue now was Jim Leyland doing it with the Tigers back 15 years ago or whatever it was, back in 2010 and 2011. I'm like, no, you don't play for next year. You know, you never know when you're going to get back. It's like the Lions. I mean, who knows? You know, you play for now. And, oh, my God. So let me ask you this, Brent. The Dodgers are going into Game 5 tomorrow night, but the Yankees, who's got more to lose in this division round? Is it the Yankees or is it the Dodgers?
I think that's a tough question on a Thursday evening there, Lou. I think the Dodgers do because they go out and they spend $70 million, and we talked about it before that this quasi dynasty is the same thing as the Atlanta Braves. They won the one World Series. I think the Dodgers have everything to lose. $70 million for Ohtani. Yeah, they make a bunch of money off these guys, but Mookie Betts is there, and he's gotten a little bit better. But I think that the Dodgers haven't done anything. The Yankees are supposed to win every year, but that's not realistic. And the Yankees have been, a wild card team. They won a division here and there, and they make the playoffs year in, year out. But out of the two, like it's a 1 and a 1A situation, I guess you could say. But I think the Dodgers have way more to lose, especially with going up against the in-state rival down the highway in San Diego. Been a great series so far, but the Padres have always kind of been the little stepbrother, I guess you could say, and they're waiting to pounce, and they have. And you look at Tatis Jr., the way he's just kind of electrified that club a little bit. That home run that Profar stole on Sunday night there, and he taunted the crowd a little bit, and he really got that LA crowd there. They're not the best of people to begin with sometimes, but they're throwing things on the field, which I'll never understand. But it's Profar, and they got them going. So there's a lot of pressure. I think there's going to be some tight buttholes come to Chavez Ravine on tomorrow night, because you never know what could happen with the Dodgers, because all that money how many billions of dollars have they spent over the years and not done anything?
Well, Yamamoto, 300 some million. He's been a no-show. Okay is right, but like you just said,
might be a bit strong.
Yeah, and that's not going to win you a World Series. That's for sure. And I again, but I can't sit here as a Tigers fan. I look back at the Tigers. We talk about the bullpen sessions again. It's nice having Skubal, but boy, if they are to make it past that and you get into a 7-game series, boy, doesn't that seem like a whole different animal? Obviously than a 5-game series.
It is. Like, you look at that, like they start in the wild card, a 3-game, a couple of bad innings, your season could be over. Really, like a home run here, a home run there. You could be up for 16 innings and lose both games, right? And a home run, and like you had the home run that what was the kid's name for Carpenter there for the Tigers off of Class A. Class A is supposed to be everything, and a slider that went awry, and all of a sudden it's 350 feet and 3-run home run. The Tigers are all of a sudden up, but you lose one game. Okay, that's fine. You lose two, you're like, but in a 7, you could lose 2, like the Yankees did in '96. You lose 2, we still got a shot at this, because it's hard to win 3 in a row at any time of a season. Getting swept is tough when the Tigers play the Marlins or whoever it might be. Getting a sweep is hard, but winning 2 out of 3, and then you got to win 2 out of the next 3 again. It's easy. Like a 5-game series, the way it's set up, and your pitching matchups have to be pristine, and you have to get length out of your guys, because if you go to because these guys are creatures of habit with the bullpen guys, and they're quirky bullpen guys, and it's a whole different animal. One bad outing and that's it. You never know what could happen, because the Yankees are lucky to be up after game 1. They probably should have lost that game. Kansas City walked in 2 runs out of the 6, and it's all right. Well, that's it. And they probably should be down 2-1 instead of up 2-1. And now it's something as simple as that. A couple of walks here and there, and you're facing elimination in game 4.
Exactly. I'll tell you one team that wishes they were still facing elimination. It would be the Phillies. I got to give credit to the Mets. You talk about a team that's hot, and Lindor with that monster home run last night, that grand slam. I look at the Phillies. Is their window starting to close, Brent? Do you think?
I think it's closing. There's a foot slammed in the door a little bit. They're kind of they're holding on a little bit, but you look at what they've done, and I was wrong. I picked the Phillies to win the whole thing. I really did. I thought they had the pitching staff, and I thought Harper was going to get his first. And the way they won game one, or what I think it was there, and they're gonna win this series. They're just going to. And the Mets they just have been the best. They after a start, I think they were 11 games under 500 at the end of May, and to claw back and just be the best team in baseball since then. And you gotta commend what they've done there in New York. And the Mets they're on a roll, and they're a team that's hot. And I think that they're like right now. I mean, they're through, so it's easy to say. I mean, master the obvious, I guess. But right now, you got to think that they're the favorite to going forward, because they just don't seem nothing seems to be phasing them, and they get behind by a few runs. All right, we'll just hit a home run, and they've been getting some timely home runs. They got in the playoffs on the last day of the regular season, that epic matchup with the Braves, and the Braves were done 2 days later.
Oh my God!
And this Mets team. That crowd last night at Citi Field was unbelievable to watch, and it's been electric. And when I first started this silly podcast back in 2020, I was stuck in the basement there, and when Cone bought that team, I said, this is a game changer. This guy's a fan of a team. He's got not $1 billion. He's got billions of actual dollars, like actual dollars. And then when guy's a fan of a team, and we've talked before, you can't just buy yourself a World Series. It doesn't work that way, but he seems to have spent the right way, and he's a fan of the team. He wants to get this done. And the way this Mets team is rolling, like right now, like out of the gate, you got to think that they're the favorite going in.
And and they're gonna face either a Dodgers team or a Padre team that, I'll tell you what, the Dodgers pitching staff does not scare me whatsoever. I mean, they shut them out last night, but that Padres pitching staff doesn't scare me either. So I'm right there with you. The Mets, to me, are the team to watch out for, and momentum is a crazy thing.
It is funny moment, like especially in the baseball playoffs, where it seems to take forever to get going, and then it starts going, and the momentum just like, okay, they're winning. And when a team really starts to believe in themselves and go, you know what, there ain't nobody stopping us. It's hard to stop that 18-wheeler going down the hill, and that's what I really think that this Mets team is. That Padres team is really good, but. You know, there's just something missing, and the Dodgers, and nobody's scared of the Dodgers because they haven't done anything. But that Mets team, Alonso on the last year, his deal might be there, it might be gone after this year, so he's got something to prove. They have the closer who is not jumping up and down after a save anymore in celebration because he broke his ankle a couple of years ago. In Edwin Diaz. No, the Mets have it going on right now, and they got a fan base that's just as rabid as anybody, and they haven't done it since '86. And they've been back there. It was 2015. They lost to the Royals, and then the 2000 World Series they lost to the Yankees in the Subway Series. So that's a hungry fan base and a hungry ownership group, and they got a team that could do it. And the Padres, they haven't done a whole bunch throughout their illustrious history either, but they got a squad to do it. And I have more faith in the Padres beating the Dodgers tomorrow night than I don't know what it is. The Dodgers. We've talked about it before. I've talked with some friends of mine and other podcast guys and just other guys that nobody really has faith in the Dodgers because they seem to not get it done over and over and over again. And until they do, you can't say, they're the guy. Like I wouldn't put $10 down on them. So
some things off the field. What do you think of the Reds getting Terry Francona? I love that hire. I listened to him on an interview the other day, and he sounds refreshed. He sounds fired up. He sounds ready to, and I think it's a great hire for the Reds.
A guy like that, old school baseball guy who doesn't mind the new school analytics to an extent, he mixes them both up a little bit. And that hiring came out of nowhere. When Francona retired, Calder good. I thought, that he's had a long career as he was a player with the Expos. That's how long back in the early 80s he was around. And then I thought he was done, right off in the sunset, had a good run. won some World Series, took those Indians/Guardians team to the playoffs and probably shouldn't have. And I thought he was done, but then when the Reds scooped in, they must have gave him a boatload of cash to get off the beach or off the golf course, because you think usually when guys that age they call her good, but they must say, you know what, we have something here. Let's go out and do it. And I think it's a smart move to bring a baseball guy in. That a lot of these younger players who are coming up through the ranks, they're all analytics driven, but to bring an old school baseball guy in who knows a little bit about both sides, like I said, I think it's a great move. And the thing is, it can't hurt. Like it can't do anything but good for that franchise, who hasn't done much in a long time. And they probably should have done a little bit more in the Votto years, but they didn't. And now they have a guy that's there to win some ball games and see if they can't push them to the next level.
So I got to ask you, when you were younger like me, did you ever try the Luis Tiant windup where you're facing second base and then try to throw it across the plate? Every time I tried it, I ended up throwing it against the backstop.
Yeah, the Louis Tiant, either I'd be called for a balk or something else, or who knows what was happening there. Like your hands be moving and going on your arms in every direction, legs flailing this way and flailing that way. And it's kind of fitting that he passed away the same time as you sent me that picture last weekend when Tiant passed away, of him facing Pete Rose back in the day. And Tiant was an animal out there. And I don't think that people like this younger generation understands that and this is before Red Bull days, so who knows what kind of pills or whoever they was dropping out of the gumball machine back in the day. But no, Tiant was an animal, a great pitcher, definitely an all-time great, and just one of the thing about Tiant, and this gets lost a lot in professional sports. And actually, I wanted your take on this. I was going to ask you about this. Like, there isn't enough of these characters anymore, like Tiant. Everybody's very robotic. They're all built out of the same mode. Yeah. They all do the same thing. They all do the same fist pump. They all pump their chest, bat flip. But the bat flip isn't an emotion thing. Like, Tiant was an emotional character kind of guy, and that's one thing that's missing a lot in pro sports now, Lou. Mm-hmm. You don't have the characters, I don't think, anymore.
No, you don't. And, I think a lot of it now is these guys are guarded because of social media. Yeah. I mean, you can't.
Cell phones everywhere with a camera on it, everywhere.
You can't do anything. You can't even look at somebody wrong anymore. Somebody will take a picture of you and then you're screwed. No, I was listening, he only had 230 wins. But you know what? Unfortunately.
Not many guys getting 230 ever again.
Not very many. And unfortunately,
they don't pitch enough innings to get wins anymore.
How does he not in the Hall of Fame? And he's, I don't get it. God love Jack Morris. I love Jack Morris, but he's got Jack Morris-like stats, and his ERA is better. What was it, 3.3 career? And what was that in Game 4 against Boston or against the Reds? 164 innings, complete game, 5-4 win, and then he shut him out in the opener. Oh my! And he's not in with all the great.
There's, and that's one thing I love about the game of baseball is that it's those moments and those things that last forever, right? And it's generational. When guys talk about that, when people in Boston talk about this, and when people in New York talk about that, or people in Detroit talk about the Roar of '84, there's these moments in sports that there's like, and then to have a moment as well as a great career, that moment should add another 10 to 15 wins on your resume. Yeah. And to get you into the Hall of Fame, because it's the moments that get guys into the Hall of Fame, not just individual stats, because you could pad stats in baseball if you really wanted to. I mean,
for sure.
You hear a lot of guys. I remember Gary Sheffield saying on some show that if he wanted to, like he could have hit 380. If he wanted to, but he's always going for home runs, everything else. So it's like, if these guys are so good, but it's these moments in time that last forever, especially now with YouTube and everything else. And you see these videos and documentaries. It's still, I think it's just the greatest game, the way that these moments last. And we're probably going to see one tonight. We'll probably see one on Saturday. We'll probably see 5 more, 6 more before the playoffs are over. And like playoff baseball to me is the best, because every pitch matters so much, and something can happen every single time someone throws the ball towards home plate, and it's great to watch.
All right, we got
drama.
3 minutes left, and then I can let you get your popcorn ready.
There you go.
We mentioned Pete Rose. Since you and I have talked, he passed away. Obviously it was a surprise. He hadn't been in the public eye, so to speak, in a few years. I just, it's one of those, I grew up, he was my idol. I played ball like him. I wore his number, slid head first, hustle. But, he's his own worst enemy. I wish he could have got in the Hall of Fame, but I understand why he did, because he broke the cardinal rule. It's like the passing of the guard,
Like the thing about Pete Rose, there's a great documentary on HBO, I think it is right now, and I took time out over the weekend to watch it, and even the wife, she goes, "We should watch this tonight." I said, "Yeah." I was quite shocked actually. Absolutely. For once, we'll agree on something when it comes to watch what we're going to watch. And the thing about Pete Rose, and like you said, he was his own worst enemy. Yeah. I think if he would have just played by the after he got caught, and he signed that agreement to be permanently banned. It wasn't a lifetime ban. It was permanently ineligible is how it was worded. Yeah. And so if he would have just kind of not lived in Vegas for one, and just done the little things, that he probably would have got a little, but he was never sorry for what he did. And that's my own personal feeling. I don't think he ever felt any remorse for anything. No. He ran by. You have to have a bit of confidence, or exaggerated confidence, to do what you do to be an athlete at that high level. But if he would have just been a better person, I think he would have got in. And if he would have just, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. But he was never any remorse, and that was his downfall. I think. Should he be in a Hall of Fame as a player? Absolutely. One of the top 10 players of all time. They did that thing in 2000 when the all Millennium team, and that says it right there. And he's wasn't the biggest stature and everything else, but he played the game hard, played the game the right way. And when you have a kid coming out of 11, 12, 13 years old, and say you play like this, the kid's got probably a better chance if he followed that way of playing baseball.
Well, Brent, I'll let you go. Go get ready for the game. Hopefully next week at this time, I can send you a note that our two teams are playing each other, and we can have a little side bet for a sarsaparilla. What do you think?
What we'll do, Lou, how about this? You come on my show if the Tigers and Yankees end up playing in the ALCS, which would be monumental, I think, because those two teams haven't met since God knows when, probably before we were even watching baseball. But it would be really fun to watch. But I'm kind of hoping for that, for not just myself, but for you as well. Thanks as always for having me on your show.
All right, Brent. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. All right, Brent Radlinsky from the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Check their YouTube channel out. Check their shows. They do an amazing job, as you can tell. He's got he knows his baseball, knows his hockey too as well. We forgot to mention that the puck is dropped on the NHL season. They pushed up the Red Wings start time tonight an extra hour to accommodate the crowd at Comerica Park, as the Red Wings are opening up at 8:05. So we're in the bottom of now I get my glasses on. I don't have my glasses here. What is that? The bottom of the sixth. 2-2. Zach McKinstry, as we mentioned, homered to tie it up after Ramirez homered to give the Guardians a 2-1 lead. So real quick, I'm going to put the Captain Lou six-pack challenge picks up. Here's how you do it. What you need to do is send me an email, sweetlou1965@yahoo.com. Give me your answers on Facebook, Captain Lou Extravaganza, or on X @TheRealCaptainLou. You can DM me them or put them right in the response. I will have this posted tomorrow, so make sure that you get a chance, get in on the show, get in on the contest. It is a lot of fun. All right, that's going to do it. We're up against it. Again, thanks as always for bringing us into your homes and on your computers and whatnot, on your iPhones, letting us be a part of your night. Enjoy the games this weekend. We're going to have some great games. Enjoy the baseball. I know I will. Can't wait to talk about it again next week. All right, everybody. Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. So long.